I'm going to give you 4 reasons why people stay in toxic relationships. Now, when it comes to these situations and how they play out, toxic people are very manipulative. One day they tell you they love you, the next day they hate you. And it's an up and down battle, and it's a bunch of drama, and it doesn't benefit the other party. But they stay in the situation because they don't know anything better. Which brings me to the first reason is the upbringing. They come from a background where the parents were abusive. Maybe they were toxic with each other. They didn't see a healthy marriage with their parents. And all they saw was negativity. They were shouting at each other, and it was very hard to deal with. And the kid growing up said to himself or herself, I'm not going to be this way. But the reality is, they ended up finding someone just like their parent, right? And what happened was they get into the situation and they repeat the same cycle again. And the reason why they go through is because they don't know anything better. They just think this is a normal way of living. They don't think there's anything out there that will actually benefit them. So that's why they stay in these situations because they grew up in that environment. And until they realize, okay, this is not healthy for me, it's not good for me, and I shouldn't put up with this, they'll continue down the same cycle. Another reason is self esteem. They don't have enough confidence in themselves. They don't believe that they deserve real love. They don't believe that unconditional love is an actual thing, that they don't believe they can be in a relationship or someone will love them consistently and not act crazy, right? They don't know what that looks like. So they don't see it. So they're just going to accept whatever comes their way. So if it's an abusive relationship, if it's somebody who's toxic and manipulative, they're gonna be like, okay, I'm used to this, so I can put up with it because I dealt with it as a kid. I'm just gonna go down the same road as I did before. And it's sad because there is plenty of options out there, there's plenty of opportunities, but until they realize it for themselves, it's going to be a repeated cycle. The third reason I would say is the investment. Some people have been in this type of relationship for 5 years, 10 years, or longer, and it's become a habit, right? And they don't know how to break it. So, because they're so invested, they've probably got kids together, they've been living together for so long, so they're just used to it. And if they get out of it now, they're going to feel bad because they've got a job, they're taking care of the family, they've got kids, and if they decide to just end it all, they're going to feel really bad because they left that person high and dry. But the reality is, why are you in the situation anyways? Because you are giving up so many opportunities to yourself as a person because that type of love is toxic. It's not good for you. It's not healthy for you to do, especially as a man. If you're being disrespected and put down, what are you doing? Honestly, it's just a waste of your time. And I think a lot of it comes down to just the investment portion because, they spent money with this person, they live together, they've got, like I said, they've got children together. There's a lot of different factors going on. And because there's been so much invested, they still want to see it work out. Because think about it, if you make an investment and let's just say you invest in a stock and the stock plummets, well, you don't want to give up on it right away because you're thinking to yourself, well, it could still go back up. So you just stay and you go for the ride. It's the same thing with relationships, right? You're in this relationship, it's you've been invested, you feel like things are progressing, you're hoping things get better, right? So you're just gonna ride it out. And the reality is it's not getting better. It's still toxic. They're not changing their behaviors. And until you recognize that this is an actual unhealthy relationship, you're going to be stuck. So that's why people stay in these situations because they've invested so much of their time and energy. And if they give up on another, they feel like they just quit and they don't want to go through that process. And the last reason is they're afraid to be alone. Because if they decide to break up with this person and move on for good, well, guess what? You got to start over and you got to be by yourself. And that's a scary thing, right? Especially if you got some kids involved and now you got to work on custody battles. And if you got a job going on and now you got to move out and start from scratch. And that's a hard thing to deal with because you made this investment, you wanted to work out. And all of a sudden, you got to start over again. You got to find somebody who will love you for you. You got to find somebody who will spend the rest of their life with you. And that's a hard place to be, especially if you're in your late 20s, early 30s. You don't want to start over or 40s. Like that's a hard thing. But the reality is staying in the situation isn't good for you. And if you're a man out there who is being disrespected, who's being trampled on, is it worth staying in that situation? Here's what I would do. I would go to a therapist. I would go to somebody who has a healthier marriage, right? And ask them, some questions, right? And ask them like how they have a healthier, marriage. What are they doing right? And, start investigating, because if you don't do your homework and really, you know, be around an environment that's healthier for you, where you're never going to find out it's a reality, right? You're just going to continue to repeat the same cycle. So that's why people stay in these toxic environments, is they're used to it, right? They've been programmed, and getting out of it is something they don't see, as a reality, because they're comfortable, right? But you can't allow that to happen, because you deserve better. You deserve to actually be loved and not talked down on, disrespected, and manipulated. That's just not a good situation to be in. So if you're trying to get out of the situation, like I said, go see a therapist, talk to somebody who has a healthy marriage, a healthy relationship with like a boyfriend or girlfriend, and really study this, right? Really, get yourself ingratiated in these situations, because if you're in the same environment, well, of course you're going to think it's the same everywhere else, but it's really not. But you have to do your homework, right? And you have to stop putting up with this type of behavior. It's not good, right? And I just think people who dive in these situations, a lot of it, I believe, comes from their background, because they have parents who weren't good examples, and then they got programmed, and they just think it's normal. When really, it's not. It's not normal at all. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like and comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Did you have a toxic situation with it was a spouse or a boyfriend or girlfriend? How did you handle it? Did you move on and realize, what, I deserve better? Whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear from you. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.